Hello everyone, I'm Lindsay Stein, the consumer reporter at PR Week, and today I'm joined by Ritesh Patel, the head of digital and social at Chandler Kiko, and we're going to be talking about the healthcare industry. Thank you for joining me today.
My pleasure.
So, sometimes when people think about the healthcare industry and pharmaceuticals, it can be considered boring, right? Am I wrong?
Yeah, it is. A lot of people say, you do what? And I said, well, I'm in healthcare. They said, why do you do that?
All those big words and confusing, right?
Very scientific.
But as we were talking about before, the healthcare industry is getting a little bit more redefined and it's becoming a little more fun and a little more engaging with consumers. So we were talking about this year being the year of video. Can you explain that to me?
Well, I think, what's happening is there's lots of changes going on in the world in general around video, with the changes that YouTube is making. Vimeo is doing really well. There are new players coming out of the market. And what healthcare used to do, and continues to do still, I think, is this what I call talking head videos. The doctor is talking about the disease and droning on and on.
Right.
Or there's a patient saying how wonderful it is, or whatever the case may be.
Right. And we can only watch so many testimonials.
Exactly right. So where we're going is, I think, if you look at the way the programming is allowed now, you can change things from a sort of telling a story perspective. And I think what's going to happen this year, which is why I believe it's going to be the year of the video, is we're going to take some of those stories that were text-based on websites and pages and make them video-based. So we'll have people talking, and then you can choose what you want to see next. And we've done that before, where you can play a video, and at the end of it you can choose what you want to see next. Continue the story.
It's interactive. It's almost like a video game.
Exactly right.
That's very interesting.
So I think that's what's going to change, and I think that will really make it the year of the video for the healthcare industry.
That's exciting. And how about mobile apps?
Mobile is doing well. I mean, in general, mobile has been doing amazingly well for healthcare. But from sort of more of a consumer perspective, there's a lot of apps around managing your diet or your diabetes or your weight or any of those things. Calorie counters, yes, I don't do those. But in general, I think, what's happening now is with the iPad coming out, a lot of doctors are now adopting the iPad as their device of choice. So a lot of the things they used to do, like x-rays and EKGs, are now appearing there. So we're seeing the professional side, where technology vendors are providing these systems on iPads, and the consumers are getting a lot more information and encyclopedias on their devices. And we'll see the marrying of the two coming fairly soon.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
And I know that you guys at Chandler Kiko have recently developed an app. Can you tell me about that? Yeah.
So we built an app basically to help doctors educate patients about atrial fibrillation. And basically, AFib is something that you feel inside. So it's really hard to explain. Right. And most doctors were using, drawings of paper and showing how blood flows and how the heart has an irregular beat. And so what we did was we built an app, originally for the iPhone, where they can actually show videos to a patient, and they can see how the heart beats, and they can feel it, and they can hear it.
That's smart.
And then they can get emailed all the information about AFib.
Yeah, it sounds a lot better than just explaining it.
Exactly. And what you have is now you have the doctor sort of talking to the patient like this, and sort of looking at the iPad and showing them this, which is a lot more engaging than that scientific blah, blah, blah that you hear from a doctor after you hear you've got, and you go, okay, what have I got, right?
Absolutely. So. And to me, another new aspect for healthcare are the social networking sites, which I've never heard of before until you brought them up to me. So can you talk a little about Patients Like Me and some of the other networks that are out there?
Certainly. So there's quite a few of them. I think 3 years ago, mainly it was all blogs and forums where people were going to sort of vent their anger or hear about diseases and, what can I do? And it was really interesting. What's happening in the last year is that people like Patients Like Me have come along and said, look, you're not alone in you suffering with this disease. There are others like you, so let's all put you together. And then we'll have credible folks who are managing that community who can sort of give you the credible advice, and all the nonsense gets filtered out. So you don't have to stand on your head and drink a glass of water upside down to cure yourself, which was happening on the blogs and forums.
Yeah, and it's it's giving them a sense of connectivity.
Exactly.
And like you mentioned earlier today, LinkedIn is for professional use, Facebook is for friends and family, and this gives patients a place to go.
Exactly.
That's definitely interesting.
We're really niching ourselves into these communities. And it's for both the patients as well as for people who are looking after patients, right? So you've got Patients Like Me, you've got We Go Health, which is another one, and then you've got specific disease things like Cystic Life is one for cystic fibrosis sufferers, which are sort of very young, under 40 people who are very socially and digitally savvy.
Absolutely.
So they do very well there.
Well, great. Well, I think the healthcare industry is definitely going down a very interesting path. I'm excited to see what else.
Exciting years coming up.
Great. Well, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.